discuss about belief. Then we talk about the hair. We talk about sin.
Okay.
Belief is such that we cannot talk about believers without talking about belief. We cannot talk about hair without talking about sin. And we cannot talk about believer, hair and sin without knowing what they are, or without allowing our brethren to know what they are. So that's what we are saying here, that the editions that we are producing, what we are discussing, is to stabilize our brethren in the doctrine of truth. As people say that there are so many doctrines outside, but we know only one doctrine. We don't know whether there are many or not. We know only one doctrine. If there is any other doctrine, it is because you have put your mind on those things. What we are about to tell you, that be stabilized in the doctrine of truth, so that you will know the grace of God. Once you are stabilized in the doctrine of truth, immediately you hear a preacher preaching, you can define whether the preacher is preaching the true doctrine or the preacher is not preaching the true doctrine. Now, starting our mission for today, our focus is whether to know if a believer can go to hell. But first of all, a believer is somebody who have accepted the death, burial, and resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ, who have accepted God, who has accepted the offerings that He has provided for us in grace. That is what we are talking of, believing. And then we said that believing is not just saying in the mouth. Saying in the mouth is confession, and confession is made unto salvation. Belief is from the heart unto righteousness. So the origin of our believing is from the heart, that we believe the death, burial, and resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ. You cannot do the intermediary by believing on grace and then believing on the things, works of the law, that by your own personal effort you will be saved. Your own personal effort will lead you to the righteousness of the Pharisees. But Jesus Christ said, if your righteousness does not exceed that of the Pharisees, you will not enter the kingdom of God. So that is what I'm trying to tell you, that believing is accepting what God has offered unto us, the payment of our sin. Amen. Amen. Then let somebody to just give us a brief talk about maybe the belief and sin or hell, so that before we go into it, we need to just know about the issues, where they are.
Like the question here is, can a believer go to hell because of sin? And as our brother has said, we cannot talk about a believer without talking about belief. And then he also said, belief, when you say a believer, it means it's somebody that has believed in what Christ has done in his death, his burial, and his resurrection. When you believe in what Christ has done, then automatically you are a believer. And now the question here is, can a believer go to hell because of sin? First, what is hell? Hell and hell is a place of outer darkness. Then this hell, who is designed for hell? Hell is designed for Satan and his agents. Now, a believer is not Satan. A believer is not an agent of Satan. So how can a believer find himself in hell? And again too, now, if a believer does something wrong, what will happen to him? This believer that that we are talking about is somebody that has believed in what Christ has done. And when you believe in what Christ has done, Christ is the one in you. Then now, the nature that you have is the nature of Christ, but you are still putting on this mortal body. And so far as you are putting on this mortal body, you are damned to make certain errors here or there. That does not make you a sinner, because when we talk about sin, we talk about the Adamic nature that we inherited from Adam, and now Christ has come and died to take away that Adamic nature. And so if this nature is taken away, it means fact, sin does not have dominion over us. Now it is Christ that is in us. But because this Adamic race, this Adamic nature dwelled also in our mortal bodies, and this Adamic nature has been taken away, and now it's Christ that is now in our mortal body. So it's the same container. We are bound to make mistake here and there, but that does not mean that we are a sinner. And then we cannot go to hell because of sin. Because if you go to John 3:18, it tells us that when you believe in what Christ has done, you have passed from judgment, you have passed from death to life. That is it now.
Yeah.
And if you have not believed, you are condemned already. So you as a believer, in fact you have already inherited eternal life. Even Ephesians says that Christ has put a mark of ownership on us. That means we are sealed with a mark of ownership. It's not something that you can be sealed today and tomorrow it's removed. You are sealed forever. So it means when you are a believer, automatically you are a candidate for heaven. No matter what you have done wrong, you are a candidate for heaven. Now it doesn't mean that you can now be living carelessly because you are a candidate for heaven. Everything that you do has a consequence. Anything to add to that?
Amen. Believe me.